Is Formula E the most slept on and underrated motorsport series in the world right now? To answer that question, we came to the Miami International Autodrome to check out Formula E Miami E3. And we're going to find out firsthand if Formula E is worth it. To do that, we got all access passes to check out the pit, the racing, the drivers, and the cars. To find out what makes the series tick, I'll let you know my thoughts on whether we've been sleeping on arguably the most relevant, most underrated series in international motorsports. Let's go. I'm really excited. We're walking in. I'm really excited to check out the cars. One of the things I thought was, is Formula E going to be like really quiet? It's definitely not Formula One sounds on the engine, but you can hear them whizzing by. Even when we were driving up in the parking lot, you can hear that sound, that like electric whir. But think of a Tesla on steroids, and that's what you hear when they drive by on the track. So we're going to go inside, check them out, and then in a little bit we're going to get up close and personal with the cars in the pits, see what Formula E has to offer, and see if it's really slept on or is it something that we should be keeping an eye out for.
But before we dive into the racing side of things, one of the best ways to understand a series is to see how it welcomes people in. So we started at the Fan Village.
We're inside the Fan Village area, and for every motorsports race, you know they're gonna have some classic cars. Let's go check out what they have over here. Here we've got a pre-war Citroen. The next one is probably my favorite because I remember seeing these as a kid when I traveled to Europe with my family. 1987 CX-25 Prestige. These things look like a spaceship. You know, I watched the Jetsons growing up. Some of you young timers, you may not have seen the Jetsons, look it up on YouTube. But that show, that looked like one of those flying saucers from the future. Citroen's a European brand. They got small cars. You've got the Charleston, you've got the Truckette, and this little like mini moke looking car in the end. If you've been to beach towns, you know what I'm talking about, the mini moke. But this is kind of like the Citroen version of that thing. You probably see this maybe in Asia or somewhere. You know, people carting supplies to the market or from the fields. But I love seeing these old cars. Let's go check out the Fan Village.
We're technically already in the Fan Village, but that's fine because this part matters. These cars are fast, like really fast.
This season, Formula E continues to push the boundaries of EV technology with the Gen 3 Evo race cars. If you've driven a modern EV, you know EVs are insanely fast. These race cars boast an acceleration of 0 to 60 in just 1.82 seconds. That's 30% faster than the current F1 car. If you're looking at this one and you've seen Formula E cars, you're probably saying this one might be a little bit different. It looks a little weird. But if you can see on the side, this livery is the Liberty Walk edition. So if you're a tuner, you know Liberty Walk, you know they do some insane body kits. I mean, the wheels, this is not how it rides, right? This one looks like it's on airbag. There you go, the slanted camber. Check out the tail on this. This is not what you're gonna see on one of the cars during the race, but I love that Liberty Walk decided to do a livery for Formula E, and I would definitely put one of these in my garage if I had space.
We came for the racing, but Formula E might have won us over at the merch stand. And once the picks started flying, the bets weren't far behind.
It'd be a 0 to 60 episode if we didn't check out the merch stand. Let's see what they got. Oh, they've got some dope merch in here. This is better than Daytona for me. This is better than Formula One. Like, check this out. Throw it in the bag.
Let's do a bet today. Who do you think is gonna win the race?
I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say it's gonna be Nick Cassidy in the Citroen is gonna pull out a third one. I mean, you know, he's kind of surprised to be where he's at, but I think he's gonna keep the form rolling. You know, he wasn't sure, he didn't sound overconfident yesterday, but I think he was trying to like tap down expectations. I think he's gonna take it out. He's at least gonna get a podium here. What do you think, Hurley?
So I'm going with Nissan.
Nissan?
Straight.
Okay, you like the livery. You're going based on like, that's how my wife would pick one. She's like, I like the way it looks. But Hurley's going with Team Nissan. I'm going with Citroen. My backup for the podium is the Porsche team with Pascal. We met him yesterday, and I think he's gonna make us proud.
All right, enough of the jibber jabber. What is Formula E?
To put it simply, Formula E is like Formula One, but electric. Just like F1, it runs a points-based championship that spans across the world. Like Formula One, until 2026, there are 10 teams with 20 drivers total. There are 17 races across the calendar, and the season actually starts across calendar years. The series has a big focus on sustainability, which is reflected in everything from the EV motors to the tire tech and even the travel schedule, with some races in the series being double headers. The Miami E-Prix is the 2025-2026 season's third round. This is the first year Formula E is racing in the Miami International Autodrome, the site of the F1 Miami Grand Prix. But this isn't Miami's first electric rodeo. In 2015, Miami hosted its first Formula E race, and the race was held in the streets of downtown Miami with horse sections running up and down Biscayne Boulevard. All right, so one of the things I'm noticing the difference between F1 and Formula E is you see the cars and everybody's working on the cars, but if you look inside the garage, it's a little bit more of a streamlined setup, and that kind of aligns with the sustainability. They're not carrying as much equipment, not as many sets of tires around the globe for this series. Now, I mean, I've been lucky enough to be inside of a team garage before, and the amount of, different setups and structures and all these other things in Formula One kind of like dwarfs what's here at Formula E. That doesn't mean that they can't do it more efficiently here, which is kind of the whole goal. So I think that's one of the interesting parts about the differences between Formula One and Formula E. It's accessible here, still kind of more laid back than the Formula One. Not as many technicians on the team. Each team in Formula One probably has about 1,000 people between people on the ground and in the factory. This is a little bit more of a streamlined operation. Swedish box furniture vibes. Behind me, you see Jake Dennis, number 2 in the championship right now. He's checking out his car before quali. That's coming up soon. And TWG, they just changed their livery. They've got this, they had a red and black livery before, a lot of red. They've gone to this kind of like neon yellowish green and black. I think it looks amazing. They may, I don't know, it's close between this and the DS Penske team. Behind me, we've got the FIA technical station. So this is where the cars come in to report after the race, and they come in and get inspected. Make sure they're up to spec, make sure there's no cheating going on, make sure they pass their weight regulations, everything else. You can see the weigh bridge in here, and they have a bunch of different systems where they can test and make sure everything's up to spec. Behind me are the safety cars, and for every motorsports event, safety is paramount. Even though that these are EV cars, they still have hazards, like the battery, things can catch on fire. These are big batteries, things can happen. But behind me, these are really cool. These are Porsche Turbo GTs, and they have 2 of them for this race. And I'm excited because a lot of the trickle-down effects that come from the Porsche race cars are in these cars, and these cars are gonna hit the streets, and you can drive. Let me tell you how qualification works in Formula E. In Formula E, they take 2 teams of 10, so 2 brackets of 10 each, dividing up the 20 cars. And what they do then is the top 4 in each group face each other in an elimination round. So number 1 versus number 4, 2 versus 3, and so on. And they face each other in quarterfinals, semifinals, and finally the top 2 battle out in the finals for pole position.
All this walking around is making us hungry. So let's see what the hospitality is like here at Formula E.
So we're in the emotion club. And there's a saying, when you're in your feelings, sometimes you eat your emotions. And let's go find out what we can eat. They've got some deep dish banana pancakes. I'm definitely gonna try that. This food lineup is pretty good. This is the hot buffet. You got omelets, you got eggs, banana deep dish pancakes, you got potatoes, charcuterie, all the fancy. One of the funny things I've noticed around here is when you go into the hospitality sections and you have the VIP thing on, and you've got the cameraman with you with the big dog coming out, they look at you like, who is that person? And you know what I tell them? I say, follow 0 to 60 on YouTube and Instagram. Let's go. Quali's done. We know who's on pole. How does the race work? So unlike Formula One, where it's a set number of laps, this one is run over 1 hour time period. The FIA race director determining whether there's gonna be extra laps based on any delays or any incidents that happen on track. So that's one difference. The other thing is during the race, you're going to see a little bit of different types of action. You're going to see the cars clumped up together and packed because they're drafting, and they also have to regen energy. Unlike Formula One, these cars can follow closer together and not have any issues. So during the race, one thing that makes the strategy a little bit more interesting is called attack mode. What attack mode is the cars can go offline to a designated area outside of the turn. Basically, they'll lose track position, but what they get back is they get a little power boost, so they can determine when they want to use that during the race. Each car has to do that at least 2 times per race. So the question is not if you do it, but when you do it. When's the best time to deploy all that energy? Are you near the front? Are you near the back? Do you need to gain track position? Do you need a power boost? How's your energy stored? All these things have to go through a driver's mind and the team's mind during the race. That makes it a little bit more complicated than Max Verstappen just running away on good tires.
So now that we know how the race works, we figured we'd give ourselves a little challenge. Let's see how many drivers we can get to sign our 0 to 60 hat.
So we're in between sessions, between qualification and race time. And something they do here at Formula E is pretty cool is they have an autograph session in the pit lane. So people come by, they can meet their heroes, get an autograph, and take something home for the fam. You get to sign the hat for me, Felipe. Muito obrigado. Feel a little bad that you just kind of jump in front of everybody in this long-ass line, but hey man, membership has its privileges.
Not bad for a random idea, and honestly, not bad access either.
This is a really cool feature they do at the Formula E race. autograph session, let the fans get up close with their heroes. I mean, that's pretty cool. You don't get that in F1. So what does a Formula E race weekend look like? It's similar to Formula One, but with a few little wrinkles. First off is shakedown. That happens the day before the race, and that involves the drivers getting in the car, going at a reduced speed to test out the electrical systems and make sure everything is working properly. Then you have free practice 1 and free practice 2, both of which are 40-minute sessions. And then after free practice 1 and free practice 2, when they've dialed in the settings, you have qualification, and they use their duels format. And then you have the race, a 1-hour battle to the finish.
And now, the moment we've been building toward. After walking the paddock, learning the rules, seeing the access, it all leads here. The grid fills, the cars roll out, the crowd settles, and the tension starts to rise.
All right, so we took in our first E-Prix with Formula E at the Miami E-Prix, Miami International Autodrome. Let me tell you, it was an hour of fast and furious action, a little bit different than I expected. Some of the things that I take away from this is real racing. Number 2, I would say that it's a lot louder than you think it would be. You hear the engines winding up, you hear that really high gear whine. It's kind of like riding the subway in Washington, D.C., but like supercharged by 1,000. And then you also hear the braking and the regeneration in the corners. It's a really unique sound, and it's a lot louder than a Tesla. The other thing that I really enjoyed learning about was how the technology in these cars translate directly to your driveway. The way they can charge up these batteries and the way the performance that you get out of these cars is going to translate to you and your EV. Did I have a good time? Absolutely. The experience was phenomenal. I mean, the one thing I'll say is the track is a little smaller. The viewing area is a little smaller, so I didn't really love that compared to the Miami Grand Prix, where you can walk all around the track and see the race from all angles. It's 1 hour of intense action and a full day of quality free practice. One day, you definitely get your money's worth. I suggest you check it out before you ride off Formula E. See you next time.